The day my father gave me 10 minutes to leave my own home, he believed he was throwing out a thief. 3 years later, he realized he had destroyed the only innocent person in the family. My name is Delilah. I'm 27 years old. Until that evening, I believed my family would always stand by me. I never imagined one missing diamond necklace would destroy everything I had spent my life protecting. I lived with my father Joe, my mother Deborah, my younger brother Corbin, and my grandmother Phoebe. We weren't a wealthy family, but we had a peaceful life. At least that's what I believed. That Friday started like any other day. I left home early for work, spent the day helping customers at the local bookstore. Nothing unusual happened. On my drive home, I was thinking about dinner and whether Mom had made her famous chicken casserole. The moment I opened the front door, everything changed. The house was completely silent. Not the peaceful kind of silence, the kind that makes your heart sink before anyone says a word. Joe was standing in the middle of the living room with his arms crossed. Deborah was sitting on the couch crying. Corbin leaned against the wall staring at me. Phoebe kept her eyes on the floor. I forced a smile. What's going on? Nobody answered. Joe slowly walked toward me. Where is your mother's diamond necklace? I frowned. What necklace? Don't play games with me, Delilah. Deborah looked at me through her tears. I left it in my jewelry box this morning. Now it's gone. I looked at her in disbelief. Are you saying you think I stole it? Before she could answer, Corbin spoke. You were the last person near Mom's bedroom before you left for work. I turned toward him. I went in there because I was looking for the spare car keys. That's all. Joe's voice grew louder. Then explain why the necklace disappeared. I can't explain something I didn't do. For a few seconds, nobody spoke. I looked at each one of them, hoping someone would defend me. Not one person did. Then Joe pointed toward the stairs. You have 10 minutes. Pack your things and leave. I felt my heart stop. Dad, you can't be serious. I have never stolen anything from this family. His face didn't change. I will not let a thief live under my roof. I turned to Deborah. Mom, please. You know me. You know I would never do this. She lowered her head and stayed silent. I looked at Phoebe. She closed her eyes. Corbin wouldn't even look at me. That hurt more than the accusation my own family had already decided I was guilty. I walked upstairs with tears filling my eyes. Every shirt I folded, every picture I touched, every memory in that room reminded me of a family that no longer wanted me. 10 minutes later, I came back downstairs carrying one small suitcase. Joe opened the front door. Leave. And don't come back until you're ready to admit what you did? I looked him straight in the eyes. I didn't steal that necklace. One day you'll know the truth. But by then it will be too late. The door slammed shut behind me. I stood alone on the sidewalk with one suitcase, $47 in my pocket, and nowhere to go. What I didn't know was that this was not the end of my story. It was the beginning of the biggest mistake my family would ever make. That first night I had nowhere to go. I sat on a bench outside a 24-hour coffee shop holding my suitcase and trying not to cry. I kept checking my phone, hoping someone from my family would call. An apology, a message, anything. Hours passed. The phone never rang. By sunrise, I finally accepted the truth. They had erased me from their lives. The next few weeks were the hardest days I had ever lived. I rented the cheapest room I could find. It was small. The ceiling leaked whenever it rained. Some nights I ate instant noodles because that was all I could afford. Other nights I skipped dinner completely, just to save a few dollars for rent. Every morning I worked at the bookstore. Every evening I picked up extra shifts cleaning offices. I was exhausted, but I refused to give up. Kept telling myself one thing: they may have taken my home, but they will never take my future. 3 months later, my hard work finally paid off. The bookstore manager promoted me to assistant manager. For the first time since leaving home, I felt proud of myself. I wanted to share the news with my family. Then I remembered, to them, I was still a thief. So I celebrated alone. As the months turned into years, I built a new life. I saved every paycheck I took. Online business classes at night. I learned everything I could about running a company. Slowly, my life began to change. One afternoon, I received a call from an old customer who owned a publishing company. He offered me a better job. It doubled my salary. I accepted without thinking twice. That opportunity changed everything. Within 3 years, I had become one of the youngest operations managers in the company. I finally bought my own apartment, not because anyone helped me, because I refused to let betrayal define my future. The pain never disappeared. Every birthday, every holiday, I wondered if my family ever thought about me, or if they still believed I had stolen that necklace. Then one rainy afternoon, my phone rang. It was a number I didn't recognize. I almost ignored it, but something told me to answer. "Hello." A calm voice replied. "Is this Delilah?" "Yes. This is Detective Daniel Harris. I'm investigating a theft that happened 3 years ago. Your mother's diamond necklace. I think we need to talk." The next words he said made my entire body freeze. "We found new evidence, and it proves you may have been innocent all along." For a moment, I couldn't speak. 3 years, 3 long years, and now someone was finally saying the words I had waited to hear. "You may have been innocent." I took a deep breath. "When can we meet?" Daniel Harris answered immediately. "Today, if possible. This can't wait." An hour later, I walked into the police station. Daniel placed a small evidence box on the table. Inside was my mother's diamond necklace. I stared at it without saying a word. I never thought I would see it again. Daniel looked at me. "A few weeks ago, a local pawn shop contacted us. Someone tried to sell this necklace. The serial number matched the report your family filed 3 years ago." My heart started beating faster. "Who brought it in?" Daniel opened a file. "A woman named Mary." I frowned. "Mary, my mother's closest friend. She came to our house almost every week. She had celebrated birthdays with us, shared holidays with us. She wasn't just a family friend, she was practically family." "There has to be some mistake." Daniel slowly shook his head. "There isn't. When we questioned her, she kept changing her story, so we searched her storage unit. That's where we found several pieces of expensive jewelry reported stolen over the last 5 years, including your mother's necklace." I closed my eyes. I wasn't angry, I wasn't even happy. I just felt empty. One lie had stolen 3 years of my life, Daniel continued. "Mary finally confessed. She admitted taking the necklace while your mother was in the kitchen. She also admitted that she stayed silent after you were blamed, because it protected her." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The real thief had watched my family destroy me, and she never said a word. Daniel slid another document across the table. "Your family has been informed. They know the truth now." I looked down at the paper. For the first time in 3 years, I was officially cleared. No accusation, no suspicion, no stain on my name. Just one sentence. Delilah was innocent. As I left the station, my phone started vibrating. Joe was calling, then Deborah, then Corbin, then Phoebe. One call after another. The same people who had ignored me for 3 years suddenly wanted to hear my voice. I looked at the screen, then pressed decline. A few seconds later, another call came in, then another, then another. I didn't answer a single one, because for 3 years they never answered mine. That evening, there was a knock at my apartment door. I looked through the peephole. My heart stopped. Joe, Deborah, Corbin, and Phoebe were standing outside with tears in their eyes. For almost a full minute, I stood behind the door without moving. 3 years ago, they had closed a door on me. Now they were standing outside mine. I opened it just enough to see their faces. No one spoke. Joe looked older than I remembered. His hair had turned gray. Deborah couldn't stop crying. Corbin kept staring at the floor. Phoebe held her hands together as if she was praying. Joe finally broke the silence. "Delilah, please let us explain." I looked at him without showing any emotion. "You already explained everything 3 years ago. You gave me 10 minutes to leave. What else is there to say?" Deborah stepped forward with tears running down her face. "I'm so sorry. I should have believed you." I shook my head. "Sorry doesn't erase 3 years. Sorry didn't give me a place to sleep that first night. Sorry didn't bring back." Every birthday, every holiday, and every memory I lost, nobody had an answer. Corbin finally spoke. "I was wrong. I thought I was helping Mom. Instead, I destroyed my own sister." I looked at him for a few seconds, then quietly replied, "You didn't destroy your sister. You abandoned her." The words hit him harder than anything else. Joe wiped his eyes. "Daniel Harris told us everything. Mary confessed. We know you're innocent. Please come home." Home. That word meant nothing anymore. I slowly looked around my apartment. It wasn't big, it wasn't luxurious, but every piece of furniture, every picture on the wall, every achievement inside this place, I had earned on my own. Without them, I looked back at Joe. The day you threw me out, I begged you to trust me. You didn't. Now you're asking me to trust you. Why should I? Joe couldn't answer Deborah. Reached into her purse and handed me a small box. Inside was the diamond necklace, she whispered. It belongs to our family. I closed the box and placed it back in her hands. I don't want it. That necklace already cost me too much. Phoebe started crying. Please forgive us. Before any of them could say another word, I quietly answered, I forgave all of you a long time ago, but forgiveness doesn't mean everything goes back to the way it was. Some doors close forever. I gently stepped back inside my apartment, then looked at them one last time. Take care of yourselves. I truly mean that. Then I closed the door, not with anger, not with hate, but with peace. On the other side of that door, I heard Deborah crying and Joe calling my name, but this time I didn't open it, because some lessons are only learned after losing what mattered most. After I closed the door, I stood there for a long time, not because I wanted them back, but because I finally understood something. The greatest revenge isn't making people suffer. It's showing them they no longer have the power to hurt you. Over the next few weeks, Joe kept trying to contact me. He wrote letters, left voice messages, even sent flowers to my apartment. I read every letter, not one of them blamed me anymore. Every page carried the same message. I was wrong. Please forgive me. One afternoon, Daniel Harris called me again. There was one final hearing to officially close the case. I agreed to attend. When I walked into the courtroom, I saw Mary sitting alone. She looked nothing like the confident woman I remembered. She avoided looking at me. A few minutes later, she admitted everything in front of the judge. She confessed that she had stolen the necklace while Deborah was in the kitchen. When she heard my family accusing me, she stayed silent because she knew they would never suspect her. One selfish decision had destroyed an innocent life. The judge sentenced her according to the law. As she was escorted out of the courtroom, she looked back at me. I'm sorry I didn't answer. Some apologies come. Far too late. Outside the courthouse, Joe and Deborah were waiting for me. Joe slowly walked over. I know I don't deserve another chance, but I need you to know something. Every single day for the last few weeks, I've regretted the biggest mistake of my life. I looked into his eyes. For the first time, I believed he meant every word. I gave him a small smile. I don't hate you anymore, but I can't go back to the daughter I used to be. 20. That person disappeared the day you gave me 10 minutes to pack. Deborah started crying again. Joe nodded. He understood. Before leaving, I hugged Phoebe. Then Corbin. He whispered, I'm proud of the woman you've become. I smiled. I became this woman because I had no other choice. As I walked toward my car, I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel sad. I felt free. They had thrown me out believing I was a thief necklace. Now they knew the truth, but the truth couldn't give us back the years we had lost. Sometimes life gives you a second chance, and sometimes it only gives you a lesson. My family lost a daughter the day they chose suspicion over trust. I lost a family, but I found myself, and looking back, that was worth far more than any diamond necklace could ever be.